Welcome to an episode of Ask Coach Mace, where players you send in questions and I answer them. Today we're just doing one question. I think it's a great question and it should apply and be helpful to a lot of players because a lot of you players are in situations like this, or you will be at some point. So the question is, I'm a 6'1", 145-pound freshman. What should I be working on? So great question, and I would say we can break that down into two different areas. One is your skill, so shooting, ball handling, stuff like that, obviously. But the other is your mindset and how you approach things. Because this is the time in your game where you really, you're working on your skills, like I said, but if you can start to get your mindset right and how you approach your work and how you believe in the work that you put in and how you develop confidence and how you start to believe that you've got to earn everything, if you do all of that stuff mentally, it's going to set you up for success down the road in basketball and in all areas. But a couple of skills that I think are super, super important as I look at like ninth grade players, I think the number one thing is that you have to emphasize having really, and I'm talking shooting here, you got to emphasize having really good form and a high field goal percentage and staying within your range. I know you want to watch NBA players and shoot it from 40 feet, 30 feet. You want to watch some of the varsity players or the college players who are knocking down three-pointers with ease. But the reality is, if you're a freshman and you're smaller than these high-level players and you don't have the strength, you're just not at the point yet where you're going to be able to knock down those shots consistently. Now, every player is unique, and all the advice I give, sometimes it's blanketed and it'll apply to one player more than another. But generally speaking, like a freshman is not going to be making and shooting a ton of three-point shots, but at this level and at this size, what you really need to focus on is being like 50 to 60% field goal percentage in the mid-range. You need to really master your form and make sure that if you're getting up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shots a day, a week, you need to be making sure that your form is right and that you are actually making shots. Because if you're in practice, let's say you're doing a mid-range shooting drill and you shoot 200 shots, let's say, and you only make 40 of them, well, 40 out of 200, that's only 20%, and that's not that good. You need to be making sure when you're shooting drills, you should be making, I don't know, at least 50%. If you're not making 50%, then something is wrong with your form, your touch, or you might just need to get more reps with your form shooting. So that is what I would really focus on. And then on my training platform too, I've got every single thing you'd need for shooting, drills, breakdowns, mechanics, form, everything in shooting. You can check that out. I will link that below. It's part of the elite experience. And then the other things I would talk about is body control and playing off 2 feet. When I picture freshmen, and I think of a good freshman player, they are able to not only get by their defender, but once they're in the paint, they're under control. Or when they're in transition and they're doing a sprint dribble ahead going into a layup, they're under control and they're able to change speeds. Most players at this age, I think, when they get into the paint and they drive hard, all they know how to do is go 100% full speed and jump off 1 foot. Sometimes it's a wide open layup, but sometimes defense rotates over and alters the shot. So you've got to be able to play off 1 foot full speed, but you've also got to be able to jump stop, go with a 1-2 step stop into playing, and then play out of that. So control and playing off 2 feet, and then playing against contact. So I would just, you can make up drills or in your practice or wherever, but just play as much as you can against physicality and against contact. Because now as you're starting to move up and players are getting stronger, they're getting more physical, they're getting bigger, their wingspans are growing, you've got to be able to play against that contact. Because the best players, I'll say the worst players, when they face contact, they're done, they're out of the game, they don't know what to do about it because they can't. They don't have the physical strength or they just haven't dealt with it. But the best players, they can play through all sorts of contact. Now, the mentality part, which I think is really important, is I'll say two things. One is that you're going to earn your confidence from the work that you put in. One of the very common questions that I get as a coach is, Coach, I'm not very confident in my game. I don't feel, blah, blah, blah. I'm not confident, stuff like that. So sometimes, and again, some players, some of the players watching this, you're actually good and you should be confident. But there are times, players, where you're in a situation, and honestly, if there's 12 players on the floor, you might not even be in the top half. You might not even be in the top 6. So if you're not one of the better players and you haven't put the work in, then you haven't earned the right to be confident. Now, let's say a year goes by and you're the hardest working player on your team for that entire year and you outwork everybody. One, you're actually going to see results because you've outworked everybody, you've put in the work. But two, now you have the right to be confident because when you put in the work and you see results and you start to see yourself making more shots, making more plays, being a better defender, being a better ball handler, your work leads to confidence, and then you can say, you know what, I put in the work, I deserve this. I should be confident. I should go out there and play with a winning mindset. So I would say get your confidence from the work that you put in. And then lastly, I would say something that everybody of all ages struggles with is comparison. There's going to be players who they're just gifted. God made them 6'8" and made you 5'10", or he made this player super, super, super fast and super, super quick just naturally. They don't even have to work at it, and you might be average or slightly above average with your quickness. We all have different gifts and we all have different natural abilities, but don't compare yourself to what others have. And you might have maybe a freshman and there's two other freshmen who are on the JV and there's one other freshman on the varsity already, and you're thinking, man, I wish I had what they had. But in reality, they're probably on those levels because of their natural giftedness. It's nothing they did, although it could be. I hope they are really extreme hard workers. Sometimes that happens. But a lot of times that natural skill, natural height, natural athleticism has a lot to do with it. So instead of focusing on what everybody else has, if you can just 100% be all in on your own development, maximizing your own gifts, focusing on developing what you have, then that's going to set you up for the most success. And then if you're able to do that and you don't look at everybody else if they're good or bad or tall or short or whatever, but at the end of the day, if you can say, man, I gave it my all today, I gave it everything I had, I planned, I prepared, I worked hard, I had a good workout, I did everything I could, and you can truly say that, then you will feel better about yourself. And of course, you will see results. But all the skills that you should be working on, shooting, ball handling, driving, passing, finishing, ball screen, moving without the ball, post play. You should be working on defense, perimeter defense, post play, post defense, and then of course learning all your actions. Those are the categories that you can break it down by. And my training platform has drills and skill breakdowns for all skills in the game. So if you really want to go all in on every skill and you want to really develop your game, go onto my training platform. And the paid version is called the Elite Experience. It's just a one-time payment, $147, and then once you're in, you get lifetime access to all those drills, all those skill breakdowns. If you got to put in the work, you watch all those videos, and then you put in the work, you are going to see results. So that is my thoughts on that for advice for most freshmen. Again, I know some of the advice, if I could give great advice, I would know an individual's specific situation, but this is kind of talking to the average person out there. But hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for watching. Let's keep getting better.